back to my channel. Ivy, there she is. We are in the opening and closing drawers, cabinets, especially the closing phase, aren't you? Come here. Yeah. Yeah, that's you. You're so silly. So today I wanted to go ahead and film the, well, sharing my rejection letters that I've gotten so far, as I have been querying my paranormal, not the coffee, my paranormal romance book, and just talk a bit about the querying process and kind of my experience with it, because this is the second time I have queried a book. So the first time was the Alpha Drive back in 2015, around that time, and obviously I ended up self-publishing that, and that kind of kicked off my whole author journey. So now we're kind of going back into the query trenches, some odd like 9 years later, almost 10 years later, with this paranormal romance book. I feel like I have some books written, some books under my belt, and I'm not sure if this one is going to be commercial enough, so it may end up being self-published. I have a different fantasy novel that I'm working on that I'm thinking maybe potentially I could try to query that, but it's in very, very early stages. I think I have 5 or 6 chapters written of that new fantasy novel. I'm gonna have to put you somewhere. I had to take a quick pause and get Ivy set up in her nursery with a bottle and some toys, because she was just getting into stuff in here and I can't film and watch her at the same time. So now that she's taken care of, we are going to first talk about my experience with the querying process this second time around, and then we'll get into some of those rejection letters. And of course, with the rejection letters, I'm not going to share the agency or the agent's name, just out of respect and also for privacy reasons, but I just wanted to share the content of those types of letters in case it helps someone out there. So in case you don't know what querying is, it is the process of sending a bundle of items, I guess you could say, a query letter, a synopsis. It's like your package, your whole little pitch for your manuscript, for your book. And you're sending this nice little bundled package, usually via email or just through the interwebs on an online form of some sort, where you're sending this package to potential agents, and then those agents would then come back to you if they want to represent you. Then obviously that exchange would take place, and then from there the agent is basically an advocate for your book and is getting it in front of publishers. So that's kind of the process, at least from how I understand it. Again, I'm pretty new to all of this. So I did it back in 2015, like I said, with the Alpha Drive, and I did a lot of research then, and I feel like not too much has changed, although back then I did notice I was sending a lot more emails and attaching documents, whereas this time around, it seems like most of the agents are on Query Tracker, which I'll talk about in a minute. And so you're able to just attach everything to an online form and submit it, which is so much easier. It's way less of a headache. I feel like you can get a lot more queries out in a shorter amount of time, because that is the first thing I want to say about querying a manuscript, is that it is a full-time job. Oh my gosh, it takes time, because not only do you have to research the agents and, you know, go to their manuscript wish list page, their bio page, what they're looking for, what they've represented in the past. You're really doing research to make sure that this agent could be a good fit for you and for your work and just the representation in general. So that's the first tool, is Query Tracker, and I'm pretty sure it's managed, the overarching managing site is querymanager.com, and I created an account. It's free, and then from there I was able to filter by genre. So knowing what genre your book is really, really important, because then you can filter by that genre and make sure that you are actually querying agents that represent that genre. So for this book, it is paranormal romance. So I just went onto Query Tracker and I filtered by the agents that represent paranormal romance. And I could even just go into the greater genre of romance as well, but I wanted to be specific, at least for my first pass. And then I did find this spreadsheet, and I want to say it came from Jane Friedman's website, like one of her blog entries for querying. I'll put it up on the screen, but it has been really helpful in tracking the agents that I have queried, that I want to query in the future, and also color coding them so that way it's categorized by who's a really good fit, who's, you know, a potentially decent fit, and then maybe just a color for who represents paranormal romance, like we're not the best fit, but you know, they represent the genre, and then maybe even another color for just romance in general, right? So getting less and less specific. So using that spreadsheet, I was on Query Tracker, I went through the list of agents, I researched each one of them. If they were a good fit, I went ahead and put them on my spreadsheet and then color coded them. I believe I had pink or purple as being the, it's been a while since I've looked at this, by the way, because I was querying back in spring, so we've had the whole summer go by. So I'm trying to remember, but pink or purple was like a really good fit, like an awesome fit. And I think blue was just that the color blue was that they represented the paranormal romance genre. Something that Jane recommended was to always have at least 10 queries kind of floating out there in rotation at a time. So what I would do is query those pinks or those purples, those agents that were a really good fit. I queried them first and got those 10 out on the Query Tracker website. And then if I received a response, then, you know, if I had one response come in, that meant I only had 9 floating out there. So I would go ahead and go to the next agent on the list and send out that query. And so then I always had 10. So 10 was kind of the magic number. And it did get to a point where I was nearing the closing window of when agents were probably going to end up taking a break from their inboxes. Spring and fall are really good times to query agents, but as you might guess, winter and summer, there's a lot of vacations, there's a lot of holidays, people are going on breaks, taking sabbaticals. So kind of near the end of spring, I was like, well, I want to get as many of these queries out there because it can take agents, you know, anywhere from a week to like 6 months to respond. Okay, so let's get into some of the rejections I've received, where I'm going to share the ones that aren't form rejections. Again, just in case it helps someone, but also, you know, for me to kind of document this journey, because I feel like with emails and inboxes and anything digital, it just gets shoved into a folder and then I never look at it again, right? So I'm not going to share the agent's name, like I said, or the agency that they're from, but I'm just going to share what they wrote. So this was one of the first responses that I received, and this was in February, because I started this process in February, late February, wanting to get a jump start on March and just the spring and everything opening up. Thank you for considering me as a potential representative for blank, the name of my manuscript, which I'm not going to share. I sincerely appreciate the effort you put into researching and reaching out to me. However, due to an increased workload, I have found it necessary to be highly selective when taking on new projects. This often means that I must decline not because of the quality of the writing, but because I'm specifically seeking something particular at the moment. Unfortunately, your work does not align with what I'm currently seeking to represent. I want to encourage you to continue your search for representation, as I believe there is an agent out there who will be the perfect fit for you and your work. I genuinely wish you success in finding that ideal representation. Once again, thank you for giving me the opportunity to review your material. So like such a nice, just a nice, genuine rejection, right? Another one I received that was kind of just like, oh man, is Dear Kristen, I appreciate you thinking of me, but I will have to pass. While I love the concept and your voice, ultimately, I don't feel it's quite what I'm looking for at this time. Thank you for being so patient. Another one I received is, hi Kristen, thank you for the opportunity to read your work. While there is much potential here, I'm afraid it isn't the right fit for my list at this time. Don't be discouraged, your work has great merit and will hopefully find a home soon. Wishing you the best of luck moving forward, and I do hope you will consider me should you find yourself querying in the future. Dear Kristen, thank you so much for the opportunity to consider title of manuscript. While there were elements of your pitch that I enjoyed, in the end, I do not have the enthusiasm for this project to be the right person to champion it forward. Please keep in mind that publishing is highly subjective, so what doesn't work for me will work for someone else. Keep querying and writing, and I believe you will find every success in your publishing journey. Hi, Kristen. Thank you so much for your patience, and my apologies for the delay. When you initially submitted this project, I dog-eared your submission to take a closer look at it when I had more time, and then time got away from me. I had a chance to review your query and sample writing today, and while I think this is such a great premise, I'm going to go ahead and step aside, only because my bandwidth is so limited right now that I unfortunately have to pass on a lot of gems. She called my project a gem. I apologize again for the delayed response. Please know that I'm rooting for you, and I look forward to seeing what happens next for you. And then this is the last one I'll share. Dear Kristen, thank you for submitting your query to our agency for consideration. Even though I found great qualities within your query and synopsis, I didn't connect with the sample pages as strongly as I had hoped to champion the project. Please keep in mind that this industry is crazy subjective. What didn't hook me right away could be just what another agent is looking for. I'm sorry to not have better news to share. I hope you take this decline as an encouraging no that is simply helping you find your way to the right yes. Keep honing your skills, learning about the industry, and always embrace a growth mindset. We're rooting for you. So I feel like this is so different from when I queried back in 2015, which I know I didn't make a video specifically about that or sharing my rejections, but that's because a lot of them were form rejection letters, and I only had one agent that wanted to see a partial, so they wanted to see some sample pages. So I haven't had much luck, obviously, with the sample pages or anything like that. Again, I'm not sure that this project is, I hate using the words commercial enough, but that's part of the publishing industry, is wanting to actually be able to sell the book and have it reach a lot of readers. I feel like the work that I've been doing and the books that I've been writing lately, between Beyond the Stars and Shadows and now this paranormal romance, definitely have a more metaphysical type element to them, where it's farther reaching, like speculative fiction. It reaches farther than I think a lot of people might be willing to grasp, because I know that when people pick up a book to read, they're wanting to escape, but not necessarily be taken on a, I don't even know what I'm trying to say, like a philosophical journey. But again, I'm hopeful that this project will find a home, whether it's with a literary agent and a traditional publishing house, or if it's something I decide to self-publish. I think I'm going to go ahead and gear up to send another batch of queries this fall, maybe 10 or 20 potentially, and just see what sticks, if anything. There are hopefully some agents that were closed in the spring that I didn't query yet that, will be open in the fall, that specifically represent paranormal romance. But hopefully this helped just shed some light on the querying process, the traditional publishing process, and hopefully sharing some of my rejections was helpful in some way, shape, or form. And if it wasn't, for me, it was fun to go through them and just to kind of give me that little spark of hope that this project will eventually find its way to readers in whatever form that may be. So because it's paranormal and it takes place in the fall, and it's kind of like got witchy vibes, and there's graveyards and different timelines. I don't want to say time travel necessarily, but visiting past lives, things like that. I'm hoping that maybe if someone reads this query in the fall, it might resonate more, just because of the season we're in with Halloween coming up. So I don't know. We'll see though. I've got plenty to keep myself occupied with these 2 book releases coming up in September and in October for Arcane Haven and Midnight Rain to wrap up the Shadow Crown series. But the last thing I want to say before I go is that Writer's Craft 6.0 is coming up really soon. So it starts on September 3rd and it ends on September 10th. Writer's Craft 6.0 is just one of the best bundles, like with tools for writers, that I have come across. And I'm offering my daily writing planner, which is this right here, but the digital version of this. So yeah, that is my offering for Writer's Craft 6.0, and I know that there are a bunch of other amazing tools and trainings, webinars, just so much great stuff in the bundle this time around. So again, if you want to not miss that, the link is in the description box below. I'm gonna gonna go ahead and go check on Miss Ivy because she's been pretty quiet because the nursery's just right here. So she's been pretty quiet, so she must be busy playing independently. But I will be back in September because I am actually doing a collaboration with someone I've collaborated with in the past to talk about the book launch timeline and how to successfully launch a book into the world. So that is a video that is upcoming, and hopefully I can squeeze a vlog in between somewhere in there. So we're working on it. But thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, go ahead and click that thumbs up button. Don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye.